It's interesting that this month we are celebrating and observing the 15th anniversary of the 4th World Conference on Women that the United Nations sponsored in Beijing all of those years ago. And the platform for action that was adopted there has really sparked a movement all over the world, and that platform is a blueprint against which we continue to measure our progress for women and girls. As the former First Lady and now Secretary of State of the United States said those years ago, she said women's rights are human rights, and we can't see them as separate from human rights. They are part of human rights, and they need to be supported and safeguarded.
I have great pleasure this afternoon in welcoming Madam Melanie Bevy, Ambassador at Large for Global Women's Issues in President Barack Obama's administration. We're extremely privileged, ma'am, to honor you, that you've honored us with your presence. The appointment of Madam Bevy as Ambassador at Large for Global Women's Issues by President Obama is unprecedented, reflecting the administration's commitment to gender issues in her capacity as Director of the Department of State's new Office on Global Women's Issues. Madam Bevy mobilizes concrete support for women's rights and political economic empowerment through initiatives programs designed to increase women's and girls' access to education and healthcare, to combat violence against women, girls in all forms, and to ensure that women's rights are fully integrated with human rights in the development of the U.S. foreign policy. The ICPRD, or the Independent Commission for People's Rights and Development, of which I am Member Secretary, was established in 1996 as a pro-poor advocacy national coalition of 900 small NGOs in 158 districts across 21 states of India. It has trained and empowered more than 5,000 poor and tribal women as social entrepreneurs in Jharkhand. It has organized citizens interfaces with members of parliament and civil society. We have the record of having over 70 members of parliament having associated with our work, one of the largest for any NGO in this country, and held numerous pro-poor advocacy workshops. In 2004, we had the opportunity to innovate this path-breaking movement of youth forums against gender-based violence, wherein young men from low-income communities are transforming as gatekeepers of women's rights. Young men in Karnataka and Rajasthan are beginning to combat violence against women at the household and community level. It is our belief that gender issues must become a national agenda and not a women's only agenda. We had the privilege to showcase our unique methodology of street theatre and fusion imagery to Madam Bevy about 8 months ago when she was here in November 2009. She was kind to applaud our efforts and the youth forums against gender-based violence and hailed it as a methodology with young men, one of the most powerful visualizations by young men anywhere in the world on violence against women. More recently, Madam Bevy observed in the US Parliament, she told us on Sunday in Madras, male members of the Rajasthan community performed a powerful street play that highlighted the negative impact of child sex selection, domestic violence and child marriage. As Member Secretary of the ICPRD and the NGO community of Delhi, and the press and the friends here, I welcome you heartily, Madam, once again, and thank you for so graciously agreeing to launch this film.
Dr. Azad has done so much for this project that we all owe her a debt of gratitude, all of us who want to see continued good results of this effort. I'm always struck at the power of film and what one can say to add to what we just saw. The Youth Forum Against Gender Violence has done exceptional work in the short time that it has been carrying on its activities. And I think the film speaks for itself, and I am indeed privileged to be able to be here at the launch. And it is my great hope that it will not only be shown all over this great country, in community after community, in school settings and government settings and NGO settings, but that it will be transported beyond the borders to have an impact on others who can learn a great deal from this. As Nandini said earlier, I first became acquainted with this project when I had an opportunity to launch it, my last visit to Delhi late last year. And I have seen the skit when I was last here, the street theater that is able in such a truly compelling way to explain to people who may not be able to read for themselves or understand in more formal ways why behavior like this is not proper, not moral. And the way that the young men have adopted the roles of men and women in showing how female feticide, how for sex selection purposes, how domestic violence, how child marriage really needs not to be something that is part of their lives and needs to be something that changes. And then fairly recently, earlier this week, on Sunday, when I was in Chennai, I had an opportunity to see the skits performed in a sequential way, touching on all of the issues. And again, I was struck. And I was struck for myself as I saw how strongly they were able to convey their message. And I was struck by watching the audience, literally hundreds and hundreds of women at the Working Women's Forum who were watching this. And again, I was renewed in my understanding of how important it was that the young men were engaged in this way. And then yesterday I had some extensive meetings and got to talk in a way I hadn't on the previous occasions with some of the young men who participate in this program. And I was left with an appreciation for not just a sense of accomplishment for what they were engaged in and the results it was producing, but the confidence it brought them, the self-esteem it brought them, the sense of community it endowed in them, the results they were able to see among the women and the girls in their own families in the broader community, the sense that together everybody was empowered. They were empowered, and the people they were helping, the women and girls, were empowered. And it was just one of those human experiences where one says, this is not just a good thing to do, it is the smart thing to do. This is a problem that uniquely affects women and girls, but it affects men and boys. And it is about all of us. It is about the kind of communities we want to see and the kind of world we want to create. And this issue cannot possibly be addressed unless there are programs like this that succeed, that are nurtured, that pollinate all around the world. Here in India, laws have been passed to deal with child marriage, with domestic violence, with female feticide. But for these laws to really have the impact that they must, it requires the kind of hard work at the grassroots level, the persuasion, the changing of attitudes that the Young Men's Forum is engaged in and needs to be continued and replicated everywhere. I am very pleased that USAID has been a supporter of this project, and I hope that it will blossom here in India and that programs like it will indeed blossom around the world. Not too long ago, we had hearings in the United States Congress, in our Parliament, both in our House of Representatives and in our Senate, recognizing in the Foreign Relations Committees how this is an issue that has stunning consequences for all of us and all of our societies. And they were exploring ways in which it can be better addressed. And I recalled in my remarks seeing the street skit, the kind of theater that the young men have been able to engage in to tell the story, and the kind of work that they have been doing that the film so brilliantly captured for us today. And I will continue to talk about it wherever I go, because this is such a tremendously difficult problem that we need to address all around the world. So I congratulate the Young Men's Forum. I congratulate everyone associated with this project, and I hope that this film will be able to take this story far more widely than the occasional events that the Young Men's Forum and their supporters are able to stage. And again, I congratulate everyone associated with it.
Thank you very much, Madam, and I would request you to be our ambassador too of these youth forums against gender-based violence, to take the message all over the world.